Welcome to the SwineTime podcast here at Pipestone. I am your host. My name is Dr. Spencer Wayne, and I am one of the staff veterinarians here. I'm also one of the owners of Pipestone Holdings, and I have the great pleasure and privilege of interviewing people within our company and outside our company to come here and talk about interesting things. And today I have a very special guest, very special. He's not my boss. He's not my boss's boss. He's not my boss's 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 boss. He's the boss of everything here. It's Luke. Luke is giving us some time of his today to talk about himself, talk about our company, talk about the future. And pretty easy interview for me because I can just kind of turn it over to Luke and he can generally take it wherever it is and fill it out for helping. Luke, I'll shut up for a second. Why don't you just tell us how you're doing and wherever you want to start. I think I had some questions about your thoughts on our company. Maybe.
Well, it's good to be back. Thanks, Spencer. And as most of the group knows, you and I go back a long time, back to vet school. And so it's fun to be here with you and I look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, likewise. So, Luke, our company, which is varied and differential amongst its purposes, how you want to describe it currently, and I don't know if you got any comments just on how we're doing as a company, things you're excited about, things that are happening.
Well, first of all, thanks everybody that does either participate with us on the team or as clients or honestly as part of our industry. And our mission's simple. We want to help farmers, and I think we're 80 years old now, or at least really close to 80 years old. We've been at it, and I've been here 22 of those. And one thing about Pipestone, it's always changing in a good way, we hope. We leave that to the clients to decide. Obviously, we make our share of mistakes, but the things I would say right now, we're really grateful. A lot of positive things to share and appreciate the work the team does every day to make it possible. But this year, kind of looking back, if we take a little inventory, we think of the organization as having a services aspect, a partnerships aspect, and a purpose aspect. And so this year, I think it's the partnerships portion of Pipestone that had kind of the most unique year, in that we offered a project called YellowStone to help beef cattle owners integrate or create and capture value in the beef supply chain. And we also offered a project called GreenStone to try to bring value to farmers in the carbon market. And those are obviously quite different, Spencer, than offerings or projects we would have offered prior. And I think it just kind of showcases the talent here at Pipestone, which is trying to put farmers in a position to partner together to compete. And whether it's the carbon market or the cattle market or the pork market, we're really blessed to have a lot of producers and farmers that are willing to partner to compete, and we get to be a conduit to try to do those things. So GreenStone this year, YellowStone this year, and then the core business, Pipestone service business, we've had a lot to celebrate.
Yeah, so you said Yellowstone's for cattle, GreenStone, carbon market. Some people listening would already be familiar with those, but essentially the Yellowstone was some cattle guys that came to you afterwards, or after Wholestone came together, and it's like, hey, we need to do this for cattle, essentially. So let's put a model together to do something similar, allow the producer to own the capture of the meat, essentially. Yeah,
it's in its early stages. Both of those companies are new, but their aims or their ambitions are pretty simple, in that in Yellowstone's case, the cattle group, supply chains are really mature in the United States. And so the packers and the retailers have probably, in our view, more share of the value than the producers do today. And, it would be nice to sort of have a more appropriate sharing of the economics in the chain. And in Yellowstone's case, the cattle situation, that project assembled a little over 300 producers and 1 million units in the company, or approximately that, which represent 1 million cattle. And again, that's this example of coming together in a partnership to try to create and capture value for producers that they just couldn't do on their own. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a new species in a way, right? We're going into a little bit of a different place, but clearly the same playbook. Yeah. Meaning producers working together is powerful. They can create a lot of value doing that with each other. And I was with a producer not too long ago, and they did just a really eloquent summary saying it this way: we like working with Pipestone because we can be interdependent, meaning that they can work with other farmers, interdependent on each other, but maintain our independent ownership. That was perfectly said in my mind. It's a wonderful way to think about these partnerships, in that the farmer can maintain their family business, join a partnership like Yellowstone or Wholestone and be interdependent with other farmers as we try to, again, in this case, let's say compete against JBS.
Yeah. This concept of trust, it is interesting to watch, because if you work with a farmer or a small farmer group that own a sow unit together or just farm close to each other, farmers working together it's hard because of this incredible need to be totally independent, and whether it's mistrust based on the bad past experience or just not comfortable having somebody else make decisions along with you. That's a hard thing. You think it's harder for farmers than it is for just the general person in the public walking around, or is it just human nature?
I don't know if it's more difficult for farmers. I would say this. I think it's difficult for all of us, probably. But at least what I would observe is that if you share a goal, and most farmers, when they really step back and reflect, they share goals. Most producers or farmers have similar goals. So they share a goal. Then they have to decide, how do I compete for value? And in general, in a commodity agriculture business, you have to get bigger. And that lends itself to partnership. We share a goal, size and scale are how we compete in commodities. And it offers up an opportunity, again, for Pipestone to be a way for producers to partner in a hopefully effective, transparent, trustworthy way.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked a little bit about these cool new farmer can take part of the process type options that have just come up. YellowStone, GreenStone. Internationally, there's some stuff going on. I don't know if you wanted to comment just on what we're up to there as a company, because it's kind of exciting to me.
Yeah. Our focus on farmers is global, and we continue to operate our business in China, and obviously a lot of geopolitics between the countries, and a lot of our listeners are probably aware and have a view on this. I simply have the view that I wish we would find a way to get along. And, having said that, I'm not here to lecture about it. It'd be great for the world if China and the United States could get along. Good things, better things would happen. So anyway, we still continue to operate there. We have a great team. The market there on pigs is in the positive part of the cycle, and that lends itself to some export opportunities for us here in the U.S. So blah, blah, people can read about that. Mexico, our good friend Gustavo Pizarro and some others, we're definitely growing in Mexico. The industry there is changing rapidly. The pork production in Mexico is consolidating. The race is on, if you will, and we're part of that. And the next step for us in Mexico is to extend from just a service business to an investment, and we'll weigh in on that issue over the next 12 or 24 months. And again, to the extent that that's of interest to farmers here, they can co-invest with us if they want, like we did in China. It may or may not fit people's interests, but that'll be an offering out there in the future.
Okay. All right. Speaking of opportunities and investments for producers, Wholestone Farms, there's a couple things. One is just how generally commentary on how's it going down in Fremont. And then also, if you want to talk about the ballot initiative that just failed in Sioux Falls, which was good for our interest and our producers' interest. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's take the last one first. Thanks to all of the producers that own Wholestone, of course, and the team in Pipestone and all around that supported the effort. The Minnesota pork, South Dakota soybeans, national pork, just a long list of folks we need to thank for their support of the campaign to try to urge the voters in Sioux Falls to vote that ordinance change down. And so what that leaves us with is we're really thankful and grateful that we have the opportunity to continue to develop that site in our due course and business plan. I'll come back to that, Spencer, and some sort of takeaways, but just the facts first. And on Sioux Falls, we're in a great position. We're thankful for that. As far as the company itself, we've had wins, we've had losses, and most everybody in the pork packing business in 2022, there was a good portion of the year that pigs had a higher value per pound than pork. And anytime that's true, it's not exactly a pleasant time to be in the packing business. So we experienced that like everyone else. But Wholestone's in good shape. We've got our branded product going out now, and we've got some really exciting things to talk about.
Really? Wait, what's the label?
Yeah, the label's awesome. You'll see it soon. We have a number of retail customers, especially in 23. You'll see it around the country, and so that's really exciting. And the other issue right now is, at least for a period of time, I'll serve as the interim CEO there. So I spend quite a portion of my time now at Wholestone, which is a privilege and my great honor to do that. So we face sort of economic challenges. We have some really exciting things about, where we are in our evolution as an organization in terms of brands and those types of things. And we're still very committed on behalf of the board. We're still very committed to growth. So this is the issue. Wholestone's 4 years old on December 3rd, and we're happy to be here. And we got a lot of work to do to keep it going.
Yeah. Just think of I don't want to get off on the side topic, but I started here right when Pipestone Natural Pork was winding down because of the incredible difficulty to get market access and everything. How do you do that? Well, it's probably some learning that occurred way back then that plays into how you do things here now. But wow, what a huge journey that's been.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thanks for that. You want to talk a little bit more about the ballot?
Yeah. So just, kind of more on the coffee with Spencer level of life. I'd never wanted, we at Wholestone never wanted to have a fight. We did our best to coordinate with 2 governors, 2 mayors, city council, development, all these groups for 4+ years. And then in the end, to have to run a campaign to win a ballot, I've never experienced anything like that. Probably most of our listeners haven't either. They're like me. They sort of watched it on TV. But, the thing I would want to just kind of share is politics are really ugly. I mean, really ugly and pretty non-productive in terms of this campaign, this ballot issue in Sioux Falls, the collective resources wasted, financial and otherwise. Financially was the single largest ever in Sioux Falls history spend on a ballot issue. And not by a little bit, Spencer, by a lot.
You're talking about advertising cost by both parties.
Both parties. And my estimate, I don't know this exact, but our guess is that the opposition spent $2 million. And that's just in my life experience. It was ugly. It was a waste of resources. And it's just a tiny glimpse into how, the political system works to get elected. It makes me kind of sick to my stomach thinking about how much money we all.
Yeah.
But anyway, that said, the real thing I think maybe a little inventory. I don't know. Again, I don't want to exaggerate, but I don't think it's exaggerating to say for 8 weeks I was interviewed every day by the media, every day, because the opposition forced some kind of activity. And so it's also discouraging at my stage of life that we all have a right to an opinion for sure, and I respect that. But we shouldn't all be able to just state things and call them facts. There should be the facts in life, right, Spencer? Like, there's a set of facts, and then I can have a different opinion than you, but we shouldn't be able to have different facts.
Yeah.
And that was really eye-opening how, despite many efforts to communicate with the media, you can't get the facts clear. And whatever gets said becomes a fact. And I know I'm pontificating here, but really a eye-opening experience. And what I would try to say to my teammates and my colleagues is that as we make decisions, it's hard to get the facts. You have to really work at it. It's the classic, don't believe what you read. Well, at some point you have to decide what you believe, but gosh, it's hard to get your facts out. And it's disappointing.
Did you get a fair shake anywhere from the media?
Oh, yeah. And again, I don't know if this is productive other than a little chat, but it became clear probably to me about 60 days into those interviews that there were going to be those that kind of had a willingness to talk about the facts. In my view, be a balanced journalist. I didn't always appreciate, but they were balanced. There was a group that was leaning in the opposition's favor, and no matter what you said, that's how they would report. Mm-hmm. And then the opposite, where you knew this was person leaning in your favor. And that's not how it should be in journalism, right? The journalists, in my view, should be there to get the facts, there to report both sides, and report them without a bias. Well, that's all lost in the United States right now. It's just sad because then we all twist the facts.
Is that like 90% or 50% or the what percent is the unbiased? Just
less than 10.
Less than 10% of the media was probably pulling on actual facts to do a good job of presenting it to the public. Okay,
moving on.
All right. Hey, related to that though, I'm just thinking, when people are, what's Luke up to? What are his ambition, skills? Where's he going? With things in life, because you have a lot of talent, and Luke should really go into politics. Luke should run for office somewhere. No. And then so I'm going to ask you now: is it so distasteful that you would never do it?
Well, I listen. Jim Pillen, who's a good friend and his family, he's elected the governor of Nebraska, and I'm sincere when I say God bless him, and he'll make a difference for that state and for the people in it. So it's an important responsibility that politicians carry, and I respect it. At this stage of my life, I can't imagine enduring what I just did for 60 days for 6 years. I don't know that it's in my DNA.
Okay. All right. Okay. To the industry and to our listeners, which I would say are largely farmers who own their pigs and are buying pigs and selling pigs, and somehow engaged in the activity of raising pigs. You got any advice on or insight on what's coming down the pipeline here in the coming year? Any just things that you would say, yeah, I expect this, or I'm looking at this as being an event you're going to have to deal with this year, or something you have to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, the normal due course of the volatility. Everybody knows these things. I can't imagine. I haven't had an original idea in my life. This certainly is among that same issue. But corn and the basis and all of this inflation, the world's been here before, but it's a very interesting time to forecast how it's going to work itself out. Everything from, the Mississippi River being low to the unions again raising the question on the railroads this week, the general, regional differences in corn. So to me, I'm sure every producer out there is really wondering and thinking about, where am I getting my corn from, at what basis? And that is going to be extremely volatile. And then on the back of that, this commodity issue on inflation, it seems to me that pork is just such an incredible value relative to beef. And so I guess what I'm getting at is, I hope that, and I would believe somewhere out here between the cost of capital and all the costs of the things in the chain, that pork needs to hit a new plateau, a new higher price plateau. I'm hopeful that that's in the next year. Often it lags what corn does, and so it could be a tough year is what I'm saying. Pork doesn't hit the plateau, corn has, and not only has corn, but corn is also difficult to originate, so those things could put a lot of pressure on the farm economics. And again, not to worry producers, and everybody knows, but bottom line, for a lot of the producers that we're privileged to work with, if you're raising your corn today, you're in a great position. And it would seem to me, if you can raise your corn, get the manure value of fertilizer, own your packing plant, it's a model that's going to be fiercely competitive for a long time.
All right. In the line of all that, there's two things. For producers, what advice would you have for them on shoring up their weaknesses? What's the basic weakness you see in the typical producer out there they got to fix? And also, what's the advantage they need to capitalize on? It probably fits with what you just said, but if you have anything specific that they would want to know.
I think again, nothing new for me. Probably everybody's heard it. I just want to encourage producers to work together to win. I think there's just a lot of strength in that, and many are. Had a chance to be part of what we call this farm biz offering, where we try to provide business consulting or business advisorship to lots of different producers. And I think there's just room for improvement on a lot of business management on the farm, whether that's your risk management program and truly evaluating how well it performs, and or your financial performance and how you make decisions. There's a lot of terrifically instinctive business people on the farm, and they manage their business that way. Long term, my wish for some of them is that they would be able to demonstrate that business acumen through their financials and through their risk management programs, because I think to transfer those businesses, farm, to the next generation, the next gen is going to want to manage that differently. So I'm a little bit long-winded here, but it just seems to me that a lot of the producers are really instinctively good at their business, and therefore they don't necessarily prioritize records and information and financials. But when you try to transfer that skill to the next gen or to the next owner or to double the size, it's exposing, I think, some vulnerabilities.
Yeah, you said it well with just the one word, instinct. I think you see that everywhere. People instinctively doing things that they learned from their dad or grandpa that have served them well, and they operate off of that without even thinking they'll do something because they know that's been a way that it's worked in the past, but it's not technically refined.
Or even, they have a good knack, or not, right? They make a lot of the right decisions is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. I just keep thinking about it this way. The competitor for the producer today is an integrated food company. And we have to continue to think about taking our share of the market from that competitor. And again, lining up the right assets with the right synergies and all those things. I think they're great advantages. Working together, great advantages. And I also would I would just say it would be great in 5, 10, and 15 years that more and more producers would say, I have really dialed in my risk management program. I can show you. I've really dialed in my financials. I can show you. I think those would be great aspirations.
All right. So just pertaining to you, whether it's work-related or personal life-related, what gives you joy and what gives you anger, or what causes anger?
Yeah.
I could guess on the second one recently.
Well, you and I talk about this often, and joy for me is about, I have lots of things, but in its simplest form, it's achieving your purpose in life, or at least thinking that you're doing that. And it's easy for me to look around, whether it's our the meeting at in Minneapolis this year, the summit we call it, seeing a room full of people, both my teammates and our clients, that we're helping. It's a very joyful thing, very satisfying to think about the difference the company Pipestone can make to so many people. That's awesome. It's extremely fulfilling, and it sort of keeps me full of energy, almost endless, to be honest. Anger, I don't know if anger, frustration, disappointment, that political process this year, that was angering because we couldn't get facts. And I would say the other thing, I don't know if it's anger, but it's definitely, I'm older now, I get more experience. I get thoughtful about greed and selfishness. And again, look, I'm that way. We all are, but I would like it to be sometimes where we could all just see ourselves, and me included. It's sometimes hard to see yourself. And when you don't see yourself, or others don't see themselves, you can get really frustrated.
All right. What are you most looking forward to in the coming year?
Again, in the, in the business side of life, I would just say there's a lot of fun things on the horizon. Wholestone has some exciting decisions to make. GreenStone, YellowStone, of course, have some, I hope, really exciting things to advance. So certainly those things are all, they're significant, and I'm excited to see how they unfold. On the personal side of life, our son Landon, who many of you know, he's 17 now, Spencer. He's going to be a senior, and I'm thinking he's going to beat me at golf.
Really?
Yeah, he's already beating me at golf from time to time, but in a whole of the year, like we play 10 times, I still got him. But next year it's going to go the other way, and I'm actually going to be happy about that. Not really, but no, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to, our 3 children are all now kind of out of the participation phase of athletics into the competition phase, if that made sense. Mm-hmm. And to the extent they enjoy that, I enjoy watching them. So I'm looking forward to that. And then all sorts of things on the personal side, just the transition of roles and responsibilities here is fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to that because it will continue.
Okay. What are you most proud of over the past 12 months?
I don't know where to fit it in. The team here at Pipestone, in what I'm trying to find is the words to say that. There's just the collective accomplishments of the team here around the world. I don't want to sound like bragging on myself. I would just say what the team here does across the globe, it's impressive. I'm proud of it. I'm thankful for it. I'm proud of it. And so just take inventory about what that means. All the sows all around the world, every day, all these things that we do, I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of them. Yeah.
It's a personal comment from me. Just I'm thankful you're here, and I don't mean like here in this interview. I mean your spot. I think that would be reflected by people that work here as well. That we're really happy you're here. In many ways.
Oh, look. You and I share a faith in our Lord and Savior, right? And at the end of the day, I try to say it. We should give praise to God for what we get to do, and then give credit to other people. And there's a lot of great people, both on the team and in our clients, that make what we do possible. I have the greatest job ever, and we've been at it for a while, Spencer. We're look at Abby here today. Abby's 20 years behind us in career, right? But Gordon, transitioning, and Jay transitioning, and you just kind of better appreciate through your career, and I for sure do, that we have a really exciting opportunity to work with producers, and I'm so glad to be here. Play my part for the period of time I'm here.
Yeah. All right, Luke, one final thing that we do go through for every guest is, first, do you know the mission statement of our company?
Yeah,
quiz you on that.
I got that one.
Okay, what is it?
Well, we say it different ways now. We say helping farmers is how
That's
I now
the abbreviated
say it.
Version.
But helping farmers today create the farms tomorrow is how we used to say it. So everybody's still kind of between points, but yeah.
Okay, so this will be a funny one to ask you because I have other guests and they do very specific things. But for you, in your role in this company, how does that play into that mission statement? Where does it fit into that? Open it up there, just take it from there.
Many of these things I've tried to say here in this discussion, Spencer, but it's if we're helping farmers there's a network growing within, again, quote unquote, Pipestone's clients or Pipestone's partners. That's, I hope, some degree of evidence. And maybe how we help them is add value to their farms, add value to their businesses, and put them in position to get, in my view, what they do, which is really about food, that they have a larger and larger portion of the value between them and their final consumer. And to me, that's really exciting. And whether it's pork, of course, or beef, or now carbon, farmers do awesome things for the world, and they should get more of the value between them and the consumer. And that would be how I think about the mission.
All right. Luke, I thank you for your time.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks. SwineTime podcast was created for the pork industry and individual pork producers around the country. Hosted by me, Dr. Spencer Wayne, with the Pipestone Veterinary Services. The podcast contains pork industry news, advancements in animal care, and how to enhance your productivity. Monthly podcasts are available on Spotify, Google Music, iTunes, Anchor, and on www.pipestone.com.